2 months into the winter of 1996, the soccer team continues to survive in the Canadian wilderness, cooped up in the cabin and seeking shelter from the cold. Flashing forward to 1998, the team makes it back home safely, but Lottie remains psychologically distant. However, after she is subjected to shock therapy at a mental institution, she seems to improve. In the present day, Lottie runs a holistic self-help commune in the wilderness, guiding her faithful followers with her spiritual teachings. Meanwhile, Shauna and Misty discuss the impending police investigation surrounding Adam's disappearance, worried that they may not have properly covered their tracks. Tensions also rise with Shauna's daughter, Callie, who begins to ask questions about Adam. Back in 1996, Shauna's mental health deteriorates as she hangs out with Jackie's frozen corpse in the meat shed. While the rest of the team grows concerned with Shauna's behavior and her pregnancy, they also grapple with other problems, including Thaisa's fits of sleepwalking and a dwindling food supply. In the shed, Shauna accidentally breaks off Jackie's frozen ear, so she puts it in her pocket for safekeeping. Meanwhile, Natalie and Travis continue to search for the missing Javi and hunt for food, although Natalie begins to doubt if Javi is still alive. In the present day, Thaisa tries to pick up Sammy from school and give him a puppy, but Simone intervenes, clearly upset after finding the shrine in the basement. Infuriated, Simone tells Thaisa that she needs to step down from public office and seek mental help, or risk losing parental rights. Meanwhile, Misty goes to the motel looking for Natalie and discovers signs that she has been abducted, while Jeff and Shauna destroy more evidence at Adam's art studio. Back in 1996, the team gathers for dinner. While fetching water, Misty befriends the shy girl Crystal, while Natalie shares some maps that she has been making with Coach Ben. That night, when Travis has a panic attack over Javi's disappearance, Lottie helps him calm down and tells him that Javi is still alive, but Natalie warns against giving him false hope. In the present, Shauna and Jeff burn the rest of Adam's belongings, and Thaisa discovers the shrine she made in her basement. Meanwhile, Natalie is held captive at Lottie's commune, but she manages to break free and run off into the woods, where she finds Lottie and her followers performing an odd ritual and confronts them. Back in 1996, Natalie and Travis set out for another day of hunting and searching, and notice a mysterious tree with no snow around its base. At the cabin, Shauna toils over Jackie's dismembered ear and decides to eat it out of deranged curiosity. Shauna's mind continues to degrade as she has regular chats with Jackie's body, even braiding her hair and applying makeup to the corpse. That night, Thaisa's sleepwalking worsens and she almost walks off a cliff, but Vanessa saves her. When Vanessa suggests asking Lottie for help, she firmly declines. The next day, Travis and Natalie head out to hunt and search for Javi, splitting up to cover more ground. In the present, Thaisa tries to stave off her sleepwalking with excessive coffee and exercise. At the cult-like commune, Lottie, who goes by the name of Charlotte to her followers, apologizes for kidnapping Natalie and explains that she was just trying to prevent her suicide. Misty, still concerned about the investigation around Adam's murder, continues to chat with other citizen detectives online and receives a strange letter at work. When Kevin Tan arrives at Shauna's house and begins to ask questions about Adam, it becomes obvious that the police are getting closer to the truth. Back in the wilderness, Thaisa confronts Shauna over her disturbing behavior with Jackie's body. Together, the team agrees to cremate the corpse that night. Deep in the forest, Natalie pretends to find a bloody piece of Javi's clothing and shows it to Travis, hoping to bring him closure. Flashing back to the present, Lottie tells Natalie that she was with Javi on the night of his suicide, and that his death was a horrible accident. When Natalie tries to leave in disbelief, Lottie forces her to stay until morning. Meanwhile, Thaisa and Simone look for Sammy, who showed up at Thaisa's house before running away. At a dive bar, Callie feels flirtatious and chats with a stranger who calls himself Jay, but it is actually an undercover rookie cop named Matt. In the wilderness, the team begins to cremate Jackie's body. When Natalie and Travis return with news of Javi's death, Lottie disagrees, stating that she believes he is still alive. That night, Natalie and Travis get intimate, but Travis has visions of Lottie instead. At the same time, a rush of snow covers Jackie's body as it burns, effectively cooking it throughout the night. Meanwhile, in the present, Misty reads the letter with a black light and realizes it was sent from one of her fellow online citizen detectives. In the letter, the new friend offers to team up and talk to a witness from Natalie's motel. At the police station, Matt shares his findings with Kevin, further linking Shauna to the disappearance of Adam. While Taissa and Simone are out searching for Sammy, they are notified that he is still waiting at school and realize that his disappearance was one of Taissa's delusions. Overwhelmed, Taissa speeds into traffic and causes a car accident. Back in the wilderness, the team wakes up and finds Jackie's cooked body, and on the brink of starvation, they finally resort to cannibalism, while Coach Ben looks on in horror. The morning after the feast, the team remains on edge and in partial shock, but Natalie offers to move Jackie's remains to the site of the plane crash. In the present day, Natalie spends some time at the commune, and Lottie tries to convince her to join. Following the car accident, Taissa is mostly unharmed, but Simone recovers in critical condition at the hospital. Meanwhile, Misty meets her new citizen detective friend, Walter, who owns a boat at the marina. Posing as FBI agents, they interrogate Randy Walsh about Natalie's whereabouts, but Misty hides in another room to protect her identity, feeding questions to Walter through an earpiece. Elsewhere in town, Shauna and Jeff are carjacked at gunpoint, and although the thief steals their minivan, Shauna manages to take his pistol. Back in the past, the girls plan a baby shower for Shauna's upcoming child, and Lottie predicts that it will be a boy. After refusing to partake in the cannibalism, Coach Ben begins to hallucinate from shock and starvation, and imagines life with his boyfriend Paul. That night, when Taissa starts to sleepwalk again, Vanessa follows her, and Taissa leads them both to a tree with the mysterious occult symbol carved into it. The next day, everyone gives Shauna gifts at the baby shower, and Travis notices Coach Ben's declining health. When a flock of birds ominously crashes into the roof of the cabin, Lottie claims that it's a blessing from the spirits, and several other teammates start to believe her. In the present, Shauna tracks her car back to the chop shop and pays a visit, where she threatens to kill the owner before reclaiming her stolen property. After interrogating Randy, Misty and Walter agree to work together to find Natalie, and plan a road trip to follow up on the potential lead in New York. Meanwhile, Natalie finds compassion in one of Lottie's followers, Lisa, during a group therapy session. Outside, Lottie begins to have disturbing hallucinations as she imagines the commune's beehives covered in blood. In 1996, Taissa continues to find more trees marked with the occult symbol while sleepwalking, which Vanessa treats as a sign from the spirits. In the present, her sleepwalking continues to cause problems, as she recovers information on the Yellowjackets from Jessica's home before she eventually wakes up on the side of the road in her car. Elsewhere, Misty and Walter bond over their shared love of musicals while they drive to New York. Back in the wilderness, tensions rise as some of the bear meat goes missing. As several of the girls start to argue that Lottie is the one keeping the team alive, Natalie challenges her to a hunting competition. That afternoon, during the contest, Lottie discovers a mysterious shrine and performs a blood ritual, while Natalie finds a dead moose, frozen, in the lake. In the present, Lisa and Natalie grow closer when they visit the home of Lisa's disapproving mother, and Natalie begins to sympathize with Lisa's depression. At the same time, Lottie consults with a psychiatrist about her returning hallucinations. Meanwhile, Taissa is picked up by a friendly trucker, who offers her a ride out of New Jersey. Shauna, finally fed up with the tension from Callie, confesses everything to her daughter, telling her the disturbing truth about Adam. In New York, Misty and Walter follow clues to the farmer's market, and after learning the approximate location of the commune, pack in at a hotel for the night. Flashing back to 1996, Vanessa remains convinced that the marked trees have a greater meaning, and together with Taissa, goes to look for a final tree to confirm her belief. When Natalie comes back and shares news of the moose, most of the team goes to help, but a couple of the survivors disapprove. Elsewhere, Lottie stumbles through the forest, suffering from grand delusions and freezing to death. At the lake, Natalie and the team tragically fail to retrieve the moose, leaving them hungry and hopeless. Back at the cabin, Mari and Akila rescue Lottie from the cold, and she and Natalie call a truce, just happy to be alive for the moment. In a rare stroke of luck, Thaisa and Vanessa find Javi alive while out searching in the woods and bring him back to be reunited with Travis and the rest of the team. Back in 2021, Lisa and Natalie return safely back to the commune, while Lottie repeats the blood ritual in the woods. At the same time, Thaisa arrives in Ohio, where she visits an old video rental store, owned by none other than Vanessa. After reuniting at the video store, Thaisa and Vanessa hang out in her apartment, and Thaisa asks for help with her sleepwalking problem. Meanwhile, after Callie discovers Matt's true identity as a police officer, she tries to help cover up Adam's murder and tells him that her mother was actually having an affair with Randy. In New York, Misty and Walter find an entrance to the commune and prepare to rescue Natalie. Back in 1996, Lottie starts to lead more prayer sessions, while Shauna's due date rapidly approaches. Although Javi remains safe and seemingly healthy, he refuses to tell the group where he's been hiding in the forest. He even refuses to talk to Travis, who becomes upset and blames Natalie for lying to him about Javi's bloodied clothes. When it's time to designate chores, the girls draw from a deck of playing cards, ensuring that everyone carries their weight. In the present day, Shauna and Jeff make a plan to double down on Callie's lie to the police. At Lottie's commune, Natalie begins to trust Lisa more, and when Misty and Walter show up to save her, she brushes them off. Afterward, Walter accuses Misty of killing Adam Martin, and offended, she gets out of his car and the pair split up. While carrying out chores in the forest, Misty and Crystal walk to the cliffside, sharing secrets along the way. When Misty reveals that she destroyed the plane's emergency transmitter the night after the crash, Crystal freaks out. To keep the secret safe, Misty forces Crystal to fall off the cliff, killing her on impact. At the cabin, Shauna gets creeped out by Lottie and leaves, but a blizzard kicks up soon after. Surprisingly, Javi breaks his silence and talks to Coach Ben, mysteriously talking about a friend from the forest. Returning from the cliff in a state of shock, Misty claims that she lost Crystal in the storm. In the present, Shauna meets with Randy at the motel while Kevin and Matt tail her, but the cops eventually catch on to the deception. At Vanessa's apartment, Thaisa begins to sleepwalk again, and she kisses Vanessa before slipping away. Meanwhile, Natalie undergoes hypnosis at the commune and tells Lottie that they are haunted by dark spirits from the wilderness. At the entrance outside, Misty gets the attention of Lottie's followers and asks to join the commune. Back in 1996, Shauna and Thaisa barely make it back to the cabin before freezing, and finally safe from the storm, Shauna goes into full-blown labor. In 1996, Shauna's labor begins and the rest of the team hurries to help her. Misty uneasily leads the effort. In the present, Misty meets with Lottie at the commune and confronts her about kidnapping Natalie. However, Lottie encourages her to stick around. In New Jersey, as the police continue their investigation, Callie and Shauna are called down to the station for questioning. Meanwhile, Vanessa and Thaisa argue over her sleepwalking, but Thaisa receives a call from Misty, who tells her about Lottie's commune in New York. Interested enough to investigate, Thaisa and Vanessa hit the road. Back in the cabin, complications arise during Shauna's delivery, causing Misty to panic. As Akila takes over and tends to Shauna, Lottie and other members of the team begin a blood ritual and pray to the spirits of the wilderness. After a short pep talk from Lottie, Misty returns to help Shauna as the team watches on with worry. After a long and arduous delivery, Shauna finally gives birth, but falls unconscious immediately after. Sometime later, she meets her beautiful newborn son, overjoyed that she and the baby are still alive. Meanwhile, in the present, Jeff answers Shauna's phone while waiting at the police station and talks to Thaisa, who tells him that all of the Yellowjackets are meeting at Lottie's commune. There, Misty meets with Natalie and tells her that she plans on staying for a bit. Back at the police station, Shauna admits to having an affair and is further questioned about Adam Martin. When Shauna returns to the van, Jeff tells her about Lottie's commune and encourages her to make the trip. Later that day, Thaisa, Vanessa, and Shauna arrive at the commune, where they are reunited with Misty, Natalie, and Lottie. Back at the cabin, Shauna struggles to feed her baby, but she is eventually successful and becomes overwhelmed with joy. However, one night, she wakes up and notices the cradle is empty. and is horrified to find her teammates feasting on her child. In a jolt, Shauna truly wakes up and learns that her son was delivered stillborn, and that everything else was all in her head. Shocked and inconsolable, she is left to grieve over her baby boy. In the days following Shauna's delivery, she lays despondent and depressed in bed, while her teammates clean up the snow from the blizzard. Finally coming to terms with the situation, she buries the baby under a pile of rocks in the woods nearby. Inside, Coach Ben's mental state continues to decline, and he has another vision of his boyfriend. At Misty's request, a search party for Crystal begins. In the present, as the Yellowjackets reunite at Lottie's commune, Natalie tells them that the rehabilitation has helped her mental state, and convinces them to try some of the individual therapy activities. While Shauna is tasked with watching a baby goat all day, Misty spends a stint in a sensory deprivation tank, where she has an odd vision of Walter and receives advice from her pet bird in human form. After her therapy, Misty calls Walter and leaves a message on his voicemail, telling him he was right about Adam's case. Nearby, Thaisa asks Lottie for help with her sleepwalking, and Lottie tells her to embrace it, especially the alternate personality she experiences. Flashing back to 1996, Shauna continues to grieve in the barren meat shed, lamenting the loss of Jackie. During the search, Misty goes to recover Crystal's corpse, but finds the body missing. At the top of the cliff, she finds Coach Ben contemplating suicide, but manages to talk him out of it. That night at the cabin, Shauna lashes out at her team over the death of her baby. When Lottie encourages her to let out her anger, Shauna beats her into a bloody mess. Back in the present, at the commune, Vanessa and Thaisa share a passionate kiss, and Vanessa reveals that she has been diagnosed with terminal cancer and only has a few months left to live. At the same time, Lottie gets more advice from her psychiatrist, but in shock, realizes that she is a hallucination as well. Meeting up with the other Yellowjackets, Lottie and her teammates get drunk and reminisce on their memories from the Canadian wilderness, while celebrating. However, the mood turns sour when Shauna receives a call from Jeff, who tells her that the police have discovered Adam's buried body. Back in the past, Lottie recovers from her injuries while starvation continues to warp the minds of the rest of the team. Mari is especially overwhelmed by the hunger and has visions of blood seeping through the cabin walls. When Natalie tells Coach Ben that Javi was seen lurking down by the creek, he rifles through Javi's belongings and finds a distinct drawing of a tree. In the present, Shauna tells the rest of the group that Adam's body has been found by the police, bringing Vanessa and Lottie into the fold. Meanwhile, in New Jersey, authorities arrive at Shauna's house with a search warrant and interrogate Jeff. They tell Jeff that Shauna is officially a suspect and that they have identified Adam's body through bone marrow donation records. At the commune, Thaisa admits that she hired Jessica to spy on the other Yellowjackets, but Misty assures them that Jessica is dead. Misty also tells the group about Walter and how they both interrogated Randy. Suddenly remembering a key detail, she also deduces that Jeff was actually the blackmailer, making Adam an innocent victim. At Shauna's house, Jeff and Callie have a heart-to-heart conversation, and he tells her about Shauna's childbirth in the wilderness. Back at the cabin, Travis apologizes to Natalie, and Coach Ben secretly takes a trip to the creek. As Lottie grows sick, the team decides that they need to find a food source immediately. They decide to draw playing cards, and whoever draws the Queen of Hearts will be sacrificed for consumption. When Natalie draws the Queen, and Shauna prepares to sacrifice her, Travis intervenes, allowing her to flee into the forest as the rest of the team gives chase. At the commune in the present, Lottie tells the Yellowjackets that their lives have spiraled out of control due to the old spirits of the wilderness, and to appease them, they must sacrifice one member of the group through random poisoning. Back in the wilderness, Coach Ben finds the marked tree from Javi's drawing, and hidden underneath it, the warm and safe cave where Javi had lived. While Natalie runs from the rest of the team, Javi tries to lead her to the cave, but he falls through the frozen lake and drowns. As the Yellowjackets recover his body, they spare Natalie and determine that Javi's death is an offering from the wilderness. As the team returns to the cabin with Javi's corpse, Travis mourns the loss of his brother. When Misty tells Lottie that they plan on eating him, Lottie is horrified and disapproves. Outside, Shauna prepares Javi's body, but she wears a blindfold, unable to watch her own actions. Back in the present, the Yellowjackets agree to Lottie's plan, but agree to have a ritual hunt instead of drinking poison. However, when Lottie leaves to clear her followers from the woods, the rest of the team secretly plans to sabotage the hunt and have Lottie committed to a mental institution. As Misty rummages through Lottie's office, she recovers her phone in a cabinet with a rifle and is surprised by Walter, who has arrived to help. At the same time, Natalie finds Lisa and personally tells her to leave the commune. Meanwhile, Jeff and Callie head to the commune to meet with Shauna and are unknowingly tailed by officers Kevin and Matt. Back in 1996, Coach Ben returns from the cave and is shocked to discover Javi's dissected body. When he finds Natalie and suggests hiding in the cave, she refuses and tells him to leave. Inside the cabin, Vanessa tries to convince Travis to join them in the cannibalism so that he doesn't starve. When it's time to eat, Travis accepts and symbolically takes a bite out of Javi's heart. While the rest of the team have their fill, Misty convinces Lottie to eat as well. In the present, Kevin sneaks into the commune and meets Walter, who slips him poison in a cup of hot chocolate. When Jeff and Callie arrive, Callie searches for Shauna, while Jeff talks about Kevin. However, Kevin quickly dies from the poison, leaving Jeff and Walter to move the body. In the woods nearby, the Yellowjackets gather for the ritual hunt. While drawing cards, Shauna picks the Queen of Hearts and is chased into the woods by Lottie. In the meantime, Matt finds Kevin's body in the trunk of their car, and Walter shows up, revealing that he has framed Kevin for both Adam and Jessica's murders. And if he doesn't want to be implicated as well, Matt should go along with the made-up story. In the woods, Callie sees Lottie chasing Shauna and shoots her in the arm with the gun that was left in the family minivan. Back at the cabin, Coach Ben sneaks around outside and collects some supplies, including rope and some matches. Inside, Lottie revokes her leadership and claims that the wilderness has chosen Natalie instead. So the team pledges loyalty to their new leader. At the commune, Lisa arrives armed with the rifle from Lottie's office and confronts the Yellowjackets. When Misty tries to stab Lisa with a needle full of poison, Natalie steps in the way, taking the needle to the chest. As Natalie lies dying on the ground, her friends surround her in disbelief. When the police and emergency personnel arrive to deal with Natalie's body, Lottie is also taken away, and she tells them that the wilderness is pleased with their sacrifice. Back in 1996, the cabin catches on fire, and Shauna rushes to evacuate the team. Looking on as the blaze consumes the cabin, the group is left without a shelter.